and this was really prevalent in group fitness and CrossFit for a long time. People would show up like 3 to 5 minutes late for a class be warming up, and they would have to go off the side and do burpees as a punishment for taking time out of life to pay this establishment to come and have fun in a fit setting. Like, that's asinine to me. And rather than be like, hey, I totally get, like, and let's peel the layers back. They got, and I remember one specific situation, dad of like 4 kids, and he was actually a single dad, so it doesn't really seem to be as prevalent. Worked as a lawyer, constantly overwhelmed, right? Shows up 5 minutes late for an appointment at a CrossFit gym that I was coaching at, and I was taking the class, and the coach is like, hey, you're late, 40 burpees, 10 burpees a minute. And the guy's like clearly a little embarrassed, and you know, he was actually probably one of the people that most reliably paid on time for the CrossFit gym. And so we started to think about it, like, well, hey, you know, you're late every time. Are you okay? And let's just call him Bob for right now. And Bob was like, yeah, you know, this is my one escape for the day, and I do everything I can to manage, but like, you know, I have to pick up my kids from school, and then getting here for the 4 o'clock is really tight for me because it's Atlanta, and like Buckhead traffic is nuts. And so it was really eye-opening for me to hear this as the head coach, because we were having a conversation about the other coach who kept punishing this person, and he complained a little bit. But like, it really shifts the frame of like, this guy's not lazy. He's not bad at time management. If anything, he's a wizard at it, because he's juggling 4 little humans and a job and his own mental health. And like, you know, just people would maybe attribute that to laziness, but they just don't know.
Welcome back to Beyond the Pump, where we break down the business of fitness and nutrition. And today we're actually going to tell you something that's probably not normal, but you should be firing some of your clients right now, today, after you listen to this episode. Just unequivocally do it. No, we're going to give you some reasons why. But
if you have one paying client, please don't fire that one client.
Yeah, don't do that. Don't do that.
If you have 10, maybe.
Maybe.
If you have 20, for sure.
But Andrew, have you ever had to fire a client?
Yes, I have.
Doesn't sound like it's only happened one time.
I would say as I've gotten more mature as a coach, I'm more malleable and I'm more flexible. I'd say early on, the more science I learned, the more rigid I was. I was like, well, this is the way that science says it has to go. And I always forgot the confounding thing around research is that what they do in research is that they take all these people and they collect all this information and then they average it all out, right? And this is where they say, this is what we found worked reasonably well for most of these people, right? There are people that didn't respond well at all, and there are people that really responded pretty well to whatever it was they were doing. And so I was like, well, the research says this. And I'm like, well, I didn't want to entertain the people on either end. And so when I consider the nature of like, the plan is the plan, the work is the work, there is something to be said around the work not getting done and having to, if you can't be the malleable coach and you can't be flexible and dynamic, then you just need to kind of, you need to pass them on. You need to pass them on. What's that? Raisins?
Reasons or results.
Reasons or results. That's right. I thought he said raisins and tasers. Raisins, I was like, I don't know what we're doing with tasers. Reasons or results. Honestly, yeah. And so, and I will say, like, to couch that, in performance-based coaching, the only thing that matters is the outcome and where the shortcomings are. So you either did it or you didn't. And if you didn't do it, then what were the obstacles that got in the way? The dialogue, the story, those are things that when it comes to gameplay, it doesn't really matter. No one cares whether the team, like, it was storming or whatever, or like, you know, 3 people out there, ankles broken. All they knew is, did you win the Super Bowl or not? And if you didn't, then tough nuts, you know.
You lost.
Yeah, 100%. So, I mean, what about you, though? You ever had to fire anybody?
Yeah, you know, when I owned the gyms, there was a couple of people that I would say we wouldn't renew sessions with them and things like that, because it was just, they'd come in and it was always just negativity the entire time. And you didn't, and you don't, and your fault, and the blame was always on us, the team, and everything else in between. And we outright knew they just weren't putting the effort in.
Yeah.
You know, the amount of times people were so surprised, because you look at Monday to Friday as a 5-day week versus the weekend, which is only 2 days. So it's like, oh, 5 days I'm really good. 2 days I kind of fuck around, and like, I should still be moving in the right direction.
Yeah.
The reality is it doesn't really happen that way. And it starts like Friday afternoon and it's a freaking bender on the weekend, not just kind of a little bit more. And you start to look at like 2/3 of the time you kind of did the thing and 1/3 of the time you like way blew it out of the water.
Yeah.
You could easily undo 60 to 70% of your work by just being an asshole on the weekend, by drinking every single night. It's like, oh, it's just alcohol. Like, sure. And we all, like, I love a delicious cocktail. I'm completely in. But you need to understand, you drink a bottle of wine, that's 500-600 calories, no problem. If you do that just 5-6 times a week, that's 1 pound's worth of calories that you're consuming. And if your primary goal is to lose weight, well, then A, we need to figure out where that caloric load is going to come from in your food. Or B, like, maybe you just chill a little bit, you know, and I'm fine with either answer. I can help you fit it in there. So it was just one of those moments where we wouldn't renew people. In my business coaching side, I actually have fired some clients because it's just like I wake up and dread having to be on calls with them or just have conversations. And it's just, reasons are results, right? Like I'm giving you the roadmap. I can only do so much for you.
Yeah.
You still have to own it, take care of it, the team, the whatever. You're unwilling to do the thing, and all you do is show up and bitch and moan every single time, every call. And like, I can't help you. At a certain point in time, I'm not the right coach for you because you're not able to get the result. And sure, I can sit here and say, I need to be better. I need to flex. I need this, explain it differently, all the things. At a certain point, if I can't figure out how to deliver it, that you're going to take action, it's my responsibility to say, hey, ethically, I'm not going to continue to take your money, you know, and trust me, I would say it's their fault, but it is my responsibility. So do I fire them? Yeah. Is it hey, I'm just not the right person to help you? That's probably more of the lens that it'll come across.
Yeah. And I think that it opens up the door because it's not that it's a forever thing. It's just maybe based upon the maturity level, the bandwidth, the resources that people have. It might not be appropriate for them to continue. If someone's having to take out a second mortgage on their house to afford an annual business coaching program, frankly, that is untested or doesn't necessarily consistently lend itself to the results, then I think that you have an ethical obligation. And I think someone, and it might have been Russell Brunson, who had the business coaching thing, and he would only let people wire him the money because he wanted to make sure that they have it. You remember, is that?
He's one of them. Yeah. There's a couple people that have done that. But part of it on the side was, if you don't have it right now, literally, then I don't want to take your money and put you under stress.
100%. And so this is one of the reasons, like when we created like Empowered You, we don't want to charge thousands of dollars of, you know, whatever to put someone in a weird, funky, desperate educational hole.
Don't lie to people. It is thousands of dollars for it, you know. I mean, after you're part of it for 10 years, it's going to be like $6,000.
That's fair.
So
yeah, and so depending on how long, and obviously, like, we'd love for people to continue to be a part of the community, come to the events that we host, and like really just participate and contribute their own perspective and their knowledge base, because that's the really stuff that makes it magical. But I think that you know, we didn't want there to be a huge paywall that would just be cost prohibitive, and at the end of the day, we know that the quality of information matters because it comes from a good source, and we want to be that source for most people because we actually do take the time to vet our stuff. And you know,
we're here to help create a great life with your work, your job, not like a fuck you situation.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Which, I mean, I know a guy that sold his car to pay for a business coaching program that ended up causing him to basically go bankrupt and live in his parents' basement, and they didn't rectify it whatsoever, and it's really sad. And so, you know, coming back to how do you know when it's time to fire a client or how to part ways or what that looks like, I think it's when you've exhausted all avenues and you both. And I think it has to be a mutual thing of you sit there and you're like, hey, I don't know how to help you. What do you think you need? And when that honest conversation, and it's actually kind of it's a poignant, like really almost sad moment where you both realize and you kind of acknowledge the end of a relationship, because you're like, I've tried everything. You've tried everything. We're just not equipped for this conversation right now and this project. So maybe we just go ahead and reconvene at a different time, or we just leave it open. But the only thing that you can control, and this is where I think a lot of coaches freak out, like, oh, I'm losing my clients. Well, yes, no shit. The one guarantee that you have is that every single client or any single person that pays you will eventually leave, whether they die, which means you did a good job with lifetime value and client lifespan, or whether they just, outgrow the circumstances and the support that you can give them. But you get to control the terms on how that leaves. And so I think that's really a good caveat for people to keep in mind.
Yeah.
Jump in real quick. Like what kind of defines like a bad client from a struggling client? Somebody who's struggling to get with.
Oh man. I mean, dumb versus stupid conversation, really.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question, right? So Tyrell here helping us with our podcast. If you need any help, all things MacArthur, we can go ahead and get you the info. He's a stud. But great question, right? What differentiates a struggling client versus a bad client? And I'm curious what one word comes to your mind, Andrew, but mine is effort. That's the one word that comes to my mind, the differentiator on there. And I'll explain more, but effort is my word.
I'd say mine's probably ignorance.
Ignorance.
Because if you know better, you're not ignorant. You're just making deliberate choices to be maliciously maligned with your goal. Like, it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
But if you are ignorant, then there's an opportunity there for you to expand your perspective or your understanding of the situation. So I think dumb versus stupid is a conversation we've had in a couple episodes at this point. And
that's fair.
Dumb meaning you don't know better and you just go learn, right? Or you set up systems not to worry about it.
Yeah.
Stupid, you know better.
Yeah.
You drunk text every time you're X. Maybe you should stop getting drunk, or maybe you should give your phone away, because if you kept doing that and you kept having emotional harm, then you're stupid.
Yeah.
We love you though.
Yeah. I mean, for me, and I don't disagree with that point either. I think it depends on situation, maybe. Ignorance or effort, but if you're actively trying and you're making progress, but maybe it's slowed progress, or we keep finding a new thing, which I guess attribute to ignorance to an extent, that gets in front of you, gets in your way, or your ability to do something or accomplish something, then like, hey, you're trying and you're putting effort in. But if we continually don't try, so I learned the new thing, I went from dumb to stupid, or I went from, vice versa. And then, okay, great, I understand how to handle it. If you show up again, and let's say the weekend example, just, this past month, I obliterated every weekend. All right, cool. Put it into context, understood it. Here's the tools to overcome it. Next month, all right, I didn't obliterate the first weekend, but the next 3 I did.
Yeah.
All right, we made some progress, we put some effort in. Next month, I either slid back and obliterated all the weekends, or just one I was good. Like, all right, did we make progress or whatever? Like, did you put the effort in now that you understand what we can do?
Yeah.
And the moment that becomes in question, that is my differentiator of like, are you actually truly trying? Like, do you really want the thing bad enough? Do you understand what you even care about more so? Like, if you're sitting there trying to escape your life every single Friday, Saturday, Sunday, like, maybe we need to think about something different. Like, maybe you being 40 pounds fat isn't the worst issue you have in your life. We need to solve a different problem, because if that's not motivating enough to make the change you need, or going and achieving the goal time in your marathon, or whatever it is that you want to do, are not truly motivators enough to get you to do the work, put the effort in, like, what's going on?
Yeah, and that's where I think, again, like the ignorance thing, you just don't know.
Yeah.
And so that's where the explorative nature of coaching is like, hey, let's go try this thing and see how it works out. If you have a Gen Pop client, which most personal trainers will have, people that just want to lose a little bit of weight, they want to feel better, they're not going to have high-performing athletes, which none of that shit matters.
Yeah.
Like, here is the plan, ready or not, here it comes. You do your best, and then that's all you got. But, like, for people that aren't necessarily having a specific time-bound thing, you can kind of have some of those. And I think that the better you are at exploring, the longer you'll keep clients, and the more, the more they'll enjoy the process.
My word is ignorance now.
Ignorance?
Yeah, I'm moving from effort to ignorance.
Yeah, because if you know, then you can prioritize better, and then you can allocate effort. So, and then one of the biggest things I hate when people say lazy, because when people say lazy, it's just misattribution. Because you're not lazy, you're just allocating your time, effort in a different direction that makes more sense to you.
Yeah.
And whether that's because you're avoiding something because you're trying to allay anxiety or something else.
He's yelling at me because I asked somebody if they were lazy this morning. That's what I hear right now. He's yelling at me.
This is what we call projection, ladies and gentlemen. This is where you see something and you think that it's coming out of someone else's. I wasn't even thinking about that. But I think about, because there are so many trainers that will misattribute, like the client just doesn't want it. They didn't show up, but they're late, and like, you forget about the context that, and this was really prevalent in fitness and CrossFit for a long time. People would show up like 3 to 5 minutes late for a class be warming up, and they would have to go off the side and do burpees as a punishment for taking time out of life to pay this establishment to come and have fun in a fit setting. Like, that's asinine to me. And rather than be like, hey, I totally get, like, and let's peel the layers back. They got, and I remember one specific situation, dad of like 4 kids, and he was actually a single dad, so it doesn't really seem to be as prevalent. Worked as a lawyer, constantly overwhelmed, right? Shows up 5 minutes late for an appointment at a CrossFit gym that I was coaching at, and I was taking the class, and the coach was like, hey, you're late, 40 burpees, 10 burpees a minute. And the guy's like clearly a little embarrassed, and you know, he was actually probably one of the people that most reliably paid on time for the CrossFit gym. And so we started to think about it, like, well, hey, you know, you're late every time. Are you okay? And let's just call him Bob for right now. And Bob was like, yeah, you know, this is my one escape for the day. And I do everything I can to manage, but like, you know, I have to pick up my kids from school. And then getting here for the 4 o'clock is really tight for me because it's Atlanta and like Buckhead traffic is nuts. And so it was really eye-opening for me to hear this as the head coach, because we were having a conversation about the other coach who kept punishing this person, and he complained a little bit. But like, it really shifts the frame of like, this guy's not lazy. He's not bad at time management. If anything, he's a wizard at it, because he's juggling 4 little humans and a job and his own mental health. And like, you know, just people would maybe attribute that to laziness, but they just don't know.
You want to know what's actually wrong with that situation?
He needed to hire help.
No.
He needed a VA.
No. The coach cared about a warm-up. The
coach cared about a warm-up?
That was mistake number 1.
I mean, technically he got warmed up.
So just don't even, like, who needs a warm-up? You're wasting time right there.
You're wasting
valuable effort.
Came to that's what he was like. How does keeping a ball fight affect wins?
Tyrell's just on it today. He's just like, hey.
It's like, I'm not getting what I want. Cut!
I got questions.
Yeah.
So the question here, how does keeping the wrong client affect the good ones? I can tell you that you show up pissy just because the wrong client irritated you. And it's like you're on a mission. Like, one day last week, I just had a bad day. Somebody irritated me, and the rest of the day, I was pissed off. But even this morning, so like, I get a message today, and I'm looking at the message. You got the same message, and I'm like, what in the heck?
We talked about this. It was really
I'm
funny.
sitting there, and it's like, I'm actually frustrated by this. I want to fire across a message and be like, hey, how'd this get fucked up? Because I'm curious. And it's just irritating. But then you don't show up the way you should be for everybody else. It drains your energy. And I noticed that about me, where I'm just like, oh,
yeah, and
I just want to shake them.
And then even the weirdest small little thing that someone else does after that, they might be the world's best client, but you're like, well, what the fuck was that? And it just a complete frame shift, because it pulls you out of your stability, and like, I'm going to start taking things personally because this person kind of like, you know, stacked it on there. And I think that to answer the question from my point of view is that it detracts and pulls your attention away from the important things, and it really stops you from being as present, because now you're hyper fixated and you're trying to reduce the threat, which makes you see more of the threat.
Yeah.
And so that's where it starts to like really create that physiology. And this is where we see people that have stressful work environments will actually start to hold their breath in meetings. And if you don't notice, like, look around a boardroom or look around any kind of meeting where there's some kind of high stakes conversation happening, and people will literally be cross-armed, lean back, turned away, bladed, like all the closed off body language you can imagine, because they don't want to be perceived as vulnerable. And that's it. Like, I'm kind of doing it right now, actually, as I say that, you know? And so I think that it's really just a drain on your attention, and the things that, you know, I think Ted Lasso said the happiest animal is a goldfish because it has a 10-second memory. Maybe that's probably a really good way to be, to minimize that frustration and that attention suck.
If you have a client that just, no matter what you do, like just causing chaos for you, it's a pain. You've given it a solid 3 months. You've had conversations in different way, whatever the right time frame is. Yeah, if you have one client and they're the only one paying and it's like a necessity, maybe you're going to hang on a little bit longer. If you have more clients and losing one isn't going to kill you, like, that's an entirely different scenario. But you just need to judge, like, is this negatively impacting your ability to serve everybody else, show up, get new clients? And that's like the really big takeaway, I would say, from here.
Yeah. And like, to really piggyback on that just for a brief second, and like, if you have 10 clients and you lose one, you might still be able to pay your bills. If you have 20 and you lose one, you could probably hopefully still pay your bills. If you have one client and you lose one client, now maybe you find yourself in a potentially financially weird situation, which would then make it harder for you to coach the other people. And so that's where you're always just trying to minimize risk as much as you can. What's the risk to yourself? What's the risk to this?
How do you have one client and then you lose one client and then you have to coach the other people?
No, I'm saying like on the other side.
Got it. I'm just
Yeah. So like one client lost on one client roster. Now maybe you can't necessarily go out and have as much social proof, or like you have to change your mindset. And then when you look at, again, the 10, obviously you just run into different problems, and that's where I say it doesn't really matter as much. The bigger you get is you start to expect that 20% of your clients will cause 80% of your problems. And so that's where you kind of create those little things and those systems and those agreements on the front end. The more sophisticated you get, say, hey, this is a client that I want because this is the problems that they usually bring me. I like chiropractors that do, ART or this kind of thing and don't have lawsuits and don't have litigations. And like, those are things that you just don't know the first couple you get into. So experience and getting out there and getting more reps at doing consultations, doing more reps at auditing, doing more reps at everything that's related to coaching is going to help you find better clients rather than reading a fucking book. So I had something else to say, but I don't think it matters. It popped in and then disappeared.
Left. All right.
It's really important. We'll put in the show notes.
All that to say, don't keep clients that are causing pain. Obviously, everybody's circumstances are going to be different, so pay attention to that with your own business. But if it's negatively impacting you, your other clients, your business as a whole, long term, it's just going to hurt you more than it's going to help you. You lose a client, you're losing something in the short term, but what does that open up possibility in a long term for you to be able to do? So just think about it from that point in time, but from that perspective. But all that to say, we appreciate you jumping in today, hanging out, listening, here at Beyond the Pump, where we break down the business of fitness and nutrition. Hopefully this was helpful. Hopefully you get to look at all of your clients and understand who's helping, who's hurting. If this is, you've been hearing one of your trainer friends kind of share stories about that pain in the ass client, share this episode with them. That helps us, that helps them, and just something for them to think about, go down that road. So like the episode, hit that subscribe button if you got some value out of this, and we'll talk to you guys next time.